Good Tuesday morning. Jerry Catherine here with your morning manna. And just to remind you where that reference to manna comes from, it comes from Exodus 16, where the Hebrew people have just fled Pharaoh. They've successfully crossed the Red Sea. They are now in the wilderness where they have been aimlessly wandering for a few weeks with many decades to go. And the people are understandably tired, hungry, frustrated, and full of complaints and grumbles, and they are on the verge of losing all hope, so much so that they are ready to throw up their hands and either die or head back to their captors in the land of Egypt, where at least they had food and shelter. Just on the verge of all this dramatic despair of the Hebrew people, God tells them that God will send down every morning manna from heaven. Manna simply means stuff, good stuff. Good stuff will come down for the people of God in the middle of the wilderness that will feed them daily. But God will only provide that ration, a daily ration for them, so that He will feed them day by day, moment to moment. The people will have to rely upon God every morning for their new good stuff to feed them. No more, no less, just enough to get through a day. So here we are with our morning manna, just enough to feed our souls. Nothing super long-winded, just enough good God stuff to get us started on this Tuesday the right way. So this week, as I said yesterday, we are entering the doorway to the Psalms with Psalm 1 through 3, and today I will be reading these words of wisdom from the NIV translation of the Bible. So hear these words of Psalm 1 through 3. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or who does not stand in the way that sinners stand, or to take a seat in the company of mockers. But the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on God's law day and night, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in the right season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do, they prosper. No. It is the first word perhaps a baby says, no matter what a mom or dad says. Most babies say no first, or they learn to shake their head no. And as that baby grows older, it is one of the most frequently said words by that baby's parents. No, don't put your finger in that socket. No, don't put that bug in your mouth. No, don't climb on that. No, don't take off your clothes out here in public. No, no, no. And that series of no, or that single no, is usually followed by a cry and tears, perhaps a temper tantrum, or a dramatic full body fit of anger of throwing himself or herself on the ground. Now, as we grow up, we get better at dealing with the no's and the do nots of life. But I'd say most of us still don't like to be told no or do not. But no, if we think about it, is just a part of our everyday lives. No is just a part of growing up and being young. Both being told no and learning to say no, and both can be difficult at any age. Psalm 1 begins with a series of no's or do nots. Do not walk with the wicked. Do not stand with sinners. Do not sit with mockers. Choosing happiness begins by choosing to say no to certain ways and things that are not of God. And it is a daily choice. Did you notice the progression in this verse? Do not walk, do not stand, do not sit. Walking seems like there is movement to that motion, passing through a fad, temporary, testing to see if the grass on the other side is really greener. Standing seems to have the connotation of being fixed or deliberate, lingering just a little bit longer, enjoying that seemingly greener grass and maybe thinking about throwing down a picnic blanket and taking a seat to enjoy that grass. But sitting definitely has the feeling of getting nice and comfortable, staying put for a while. It's not thinking about throwing down a blanket, it is throwing down that blanket and staying and being decidedly content to be doing just that. God created us, as God says in the very, very beginning, with free will. And free will equals choice. There are two ways, according to Psalm 1, good or bad. Or as I tell my boys, there are ways to help, but there are also ways that harm. But really, it is not so black and white, all or nothing as that, because there is a lot of gray, a lot of in between, a lot of uncertainty, ways that are kind of good-ish ways, bad-ish ways. And that is where I think most of us find ourselves beginning to be comfortable sitting down where perhaps we should not be getting so comfortable in our seats. And in doing so, we rob ourselves, Psalm 1 says, of the promised blessedness, the promised happiness that comes from God. This makes me think of something that author C.S. Lewis once wrote. He wrote, "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us. Like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by an offer of a holiday at the sea. We are far too easily pleased." God offers each of us, God offers you abundant happiness. And to fully receive that happiness and blessing means choosing to sometimes say no. No to those things, and maybe even to those kinds of people that keep us from delighting in God and enjoying the abundant daily blessings of God. So remember this as you go throughout your Tuesday. We worship a God who wants to say yes to you, but we have to be okay hearing no and okay saying no to those things that keep us from God's yes. Once again, today, let your breath prayer be, blessed is God, blessed am I. Breathing in, blessed is God. Breathing out, blessed am I. See you tomorrow.